What does an evil warrior actually mean in the world of He-Man? Let's find out. Skeletor. There is no place to start except here. He is the center of gravity around which every villain in the franchise orbits. Skeletor's face tells you everything immediately. Even if you've never watched a single episode of He-Man, one look at him tells you this is somebody dangerous. You don't need context. The visual does all the work in a single frame. But the design choice goes deeper than shock value. That exposed skull isn't just grotesque. It's a statement about what was taken from him. In the 2002 continuity, Skeletor was once Keldor, a warrior who reached for power and had his face destroyed by acid in the process. Hordak rebuilt what was left. And what emerged wasn't a man anymore. It was something stripped of every soft layer. That skull face isn't really a costume, it's damage. It's what ambition did to him. He doesn't wear a mask. He wears the consequence of ambition. That detail matters because it separates him from ordinary villains who chose evil casually. Skeletor's darkness has a wound at the center of it. His relationship to Castle Grayskull sharpens that reading considerably. Skeletor doesn't simply want power. He wants the specific power that defines his enemy. That's not a political goal. That's personal. In several continuities, Skeletor is revealed to be King Randor's brother, which makes He-Man his nephew. And once you realize Skeletor is basically fighting his own family, the entire conflict starts feeling less like fantasy and more like bitterness that spiraled out of control. The most dangerous villains in storytelling are always the ones with legitimate grievances. Whether Skeletor's grievance is legitimate is complicated, but it's real. And his skull face reminds you of it every single time he appears on screen. Evil-Lyn. She is the most independently dangerous figure in the entire roster of evil warriors. Not because she's the most powerful, though her magical abilities are considerable, but because she's the only one who is genuinely thinking several moves ahead of everyone else in the room. Every other member of Skeletor's army serves Skeletor. Evil-Lyn serves herself. That distinction is everything. She has made alliances with outside villains. She has pursued her own schemes at the direct expense of her supposed master. And she has never stopped calculating the distance between her current position and the throne. The toy line built her as a visual counterpart to Teela. But the cartoons understood something the toy line missed. She's not Teela's opposite. She's the sorceress's opposite. Teela is a warrior. Evil-Lyn has no warrior instinct whatsoever. What she has is magical genius and ruthless clarity about what she wants. Her origin in Masters of the Universe. Revelation gives Evil-Lyn one of the darkest backstories in the franchise. A child hiding in sewers. Running from adults who wanted to destroy her hands so she could never use magic. Hiding in sewers. Finding a mentor who agreed to teach her on one condition. She could never use her power for evil. And she broke that promise. But here's where it gets interesting. The promise wasn't broken from cruelty. It was broken from betrayal and despair. Evil-Lyn didn't choose darkness because darkness appealed to her. She arrived at it through the accumulation of losses. That makes her the most tragic figure in Skeletor's entire circle. The yellow of her original color scheme isn't neutral. It's a warning. She is always between states, never fully committed to anyone's cause but her own. Beast-Man. He's often played as the simple one, the muscle, the bungling, loyal brute who follows Skeletor without question and usually takes the punishment for it. That reading isn't wrong, but it's incomplete. The series Bible offers a buried detail that changes everything about how you look at him. He may have once been a human, a man from Earth named Biff Beastman who owned a farmyard and abused the animals on it. If that origin holds, then Beastman isn't a creature born to dominance. He was shaped into one by cruelty. His ability to control animals isn't mystical elevation. It's the warped extension of the same pattern that defined him before the transformation. He never stopped trying to control things weaker than himself. He just got bigger. What makes Beastman genuinely interesting is his loyalty. Not to Skeletor, who treats him as disposable, but to Evil-Lyn in the later adaptations. Revelation strips away the comedy and finds something underneath. A creature capable of real devotion, real emotional attachment. He's still dangerous. He's still defined by his capacity for violence. But beneath the savage exterior, there's a being who has chosen to attach himself to someone. That choice, however misplaced, is what separates Beast-Man from pure monstrousness. He isn't thoughtless. He's just given his thoughts to the wrong cause. Tri-Klops. The rotating visor is the most visually loaded piece of equipment in Skeletor's entire army. 3 eyes, 3 types of vision. Distance, darkness, penetration, and none of them are his own. That's the detail that carries weight. Tri-Klops is blind. The visor isn't an enhancement. It's a replacement for something that was taken from him. He lost his natural sight defending a wizard's tower. The wizard promised to restore it. Skeletor interfered, manipulated the situation, and turned a hero into a soldier. The visor Tri-Klops now wears isn't liberation. It's a leash made of lenses. He can see in 3 directions, but he can only move in 1. That's what Skeletor's corruption looks like up close. He went on to become Skeletor's primary inventor. Weapons, vehicles, Doom-Seekers, which were surveillance machines used to spy on He-Man. His brilliance was enormous. His application of it became entirely one-directional. And that redirection is the quiet horror of his story. A man with the intelligence to build anything chose, because he was manipulated into it, to spend that intelligence building tools for someone else's conquest. The rotating visor becomes a symbol for that trap. It turns. It offers different views. But it never turns far enough to let him see the full picture of what was done to him. Trapjaw. The design says everything before any writer adds a word. A metal jaw, a mechanical arm with interchangeable weapons. Half the face is gone and replaced with hardware. This is what the franchise does best with its villain designs. It uses visible damage to encode history. Trapjaw didn't start as a cyborg. He was transformed. In several continuities, he was once a criminal called Cronus, and Skeletor's modifications were simultaneously a rescue and a punishment. He was given power. He was also remade. His body is no longer fully his own, and that tension sits in every frame he occupies. He is dangerous precisely because so much of him has been replaced with something harder and less feeling than flesh. His interchangeable arm attachments give him a versatility that most evil warriors lack. Hook, claw, laser. He adapts. But the adaptation is always external. The hardware changes. The man underneath does not. And the man underneath is still, in every continuity, someone whose hunger for power overrode every other consideration. The jaw that gave him his name is the most direct symbol of that hunger. It consumed part of him. It became part of him. There's no separating Trapjaw from his damage anymore. That's not incidental. That's the franchise telling you what unchecked appetite costs. Mer-Man. He is the most visually alien of Skeletor's core lieutenants. Where Beast-Man reads as primal and grounded, Mer-Man belongs to a different world entirely. He commands the creatures of Eternia's oceans, and his power domain is one that He-Man has no natural advantage in. That environmental specificity is important. He isn't simply strong. He's sovereign in a place where his enemies are helpless. The sea is his castle Grayskull. His fish-scaled skin and orange coloring are deliberately unsettling in a way that Beast-Man's fur isn't. Beast-Man is a corrupted natural thing. Mer-Man is something that was never entirely meant for the surface world to begin with. His presence above water always feels like an intrusion. His loyalty to Skeletor is one of the more consistent threads across franchise iterations. Not ambitious like Evil-Lyn. Not blindly devoted like Beast-Man. Mer-Man serves because the arrangement benefits him. He retains his domain. He retains his command over his creatures. And in exchange, he makes his power available when Skeletor needs it. That's a transaction, not a devotion. And transactions are, arguably, the most honest relationship in Skeletor's entire organization. Too bad. 2 heads, 1 body, no agreement between them. The design is comedic on its surface and deeply sinister underneath. Too Bad was originally 2 separate bounty hunters, Tuvar and Badra, who were merged by Skeletor as punishment for their failure and their constant arguing. That origin turns every scene they share into something uncomfortable. These aren't 2 personalities coexisting. These are 2 beings who despise each other, trapped in a single body with no possibility of separation. Their bickering isn't comic relief. It's the sound of two people who have lost autonomy, arguing about which direction to use what little agency they have left. The symbolism of their merged form reflects a broader truth about Skeletor's leadership style. He doesn't simply recruit, he transforms, he alters. He makes the members of his army physically contingent on his decisions. Beast-Man was reshaped. Trapjaw was rebuilt. Too Bad was literally fused together as a consequence of disobedience. The army Skeletor has assembled isn't just loyal because they agree with his goals. In several cases, they have no body left to bring to any other employer. That's not loyalty, that's architecture. And Too Bad is the most literal manifestation of that architecture in the entire Evil Warriors roster. Which of these Evil Warriors resonates most with you? Share your answer in the comments.